award is the Appellate Award, and to present that award is Justin Stahl. There he is. Well, it's my honor to present this award for the Appellate Advocacy, the Appellate Order of the Year, to Mike Eiselein. Many of you know Mike, most of you, all of you, I'm sure. You all know Mike to be a tenacious and principled lawyer. I got to know Mike through this case, the Gatlin Johnson case. And he's being honored for his work on the Gatlin Johnson case. But he earned this award through his many years of service through the Amicus Committee and the great appellate briefs he's written, and the service that he's given to many citizens of Montana, our clients and his clients alike. Probably the highest compliment that can be paid, I think, to Mike would be the look on the faces of some defense lawyers these days when his name comes up. And say, yeah, I know Mike, he's a great guy. The response is dead. And that's when we know that you are a tenacious lawyer. The case that Mike is being honored for tonight, the Gatlin case, Pat Potter talked about it earlier today, and she mentioned that it's an important case, and it is. It's Gatlin Johnson versus the city of Miles City. Mike represented an 8-year-old girl, the mother of an 8-year-old girl, who fell from a slide in Riverside Park in the city and suffered a very serious brain injury because there was very little impact attenuating material below the slide, and everybody agreed in the case that the city failed in its obligation to include the requisite amount of impact attenuating material. Well, Mike lost on summary judgment because of this funky doctrine called the public duty doctrine. Now, imagine telling your client, imagine telling Tiffany Gatlin that I'm sorry, the city definitely didn't have enough material under this to break your daughter's fall. But we lose. And we lose because the city owes a duty to everyone. The city owes a duty to all of us. But not to... But the city does not owe a duty to one. A duty to all is a duty to none. So there was no duty to this poor little girl who fell from the slide. Luckily, Tiffany Gatlin had hired Mike Eiselein, who is a tenacious and principled litigator, who didn't give up, and fought and wrote a very, very good brief, which produced a very, very good opinion, which limited the application of the public duty doctrine substantially. So now in Montana, the public duty doctrine no longer protects a state or a city government from liability when it undertakes any sort of obligation that it would have, same as an industry. What I mean by that is, what poor Mike had to tell his client was, I'm sorry, if Alyssa had fallen from the same slide at McDonald's, we would be able to go to trial. But because this was owned by the city, we can't. Well, that's no longer true in Montana because of this case. So now the public duty doctrine is limited to those core governmental functions, which when I first talked with Mike about this case, he said that if anything, the public duty doctrine in a state with no sovereign immunity doesn't make sense in the first place. But certainly it should be limited to just those core governmental functions. And the court wrote a decision that looks exactly like those first thoughts that Mike had when we talked about the case. And looks very much like his brief that he wrote, and that's why we know he did a good job. So again, it's my honor to present this award to Mike Eiselein for Appellate Advocacy.
If she'd fallen from the slide tunnels, I'd be fucking rich. Most of you that some of this know, there's really only one way that Montana trial lawyers get to the highest court in our land. And that is, and Jonathan, for those of you who don't have a lot of this is something you'll find out soon enough. The only real way that we get to the highest court in our land is to lose at the district court. Well, I've been to the Montana Supreme Court a lot. And, but being the appellate is not the only way that I've gotten there. I've also had the privilege of serving on the MTLA Advocacy Committee for I don't know how long, I think it's going on 20 years. And throughout that time I've had the opportunity to be involved in appeals and to be involved in cases and issues that interest me and that I have been asked to write briefs on or that I volunteered to write briefs on. And that really has been the most rewarding part of the appellate work that I've done. And amicus work at the appellate level is a tremendous thing because you get to do something you don't get to do as the appellate. You get to ignore the facts and you get to talk about policy. And you get to make policy arguments to our Montana Supreme Court, which is a court that we should feel blessed to be able to appear in front of. It is comprised of judges who are popularly elected in nonpartisan races. It is a court to which you have an automatic right of appeal. You don't have appellate panels or intermediate courts of appeal that you have to deal with. There's no requirement that you apply for a writ of certiorari to say, please, 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 believe my case is important enough to hear what I have to say. In Montana, we have a people's court. And if you don't think we have a people's court, you haven't met Terry Treeweiler or Jim Nelson or any of the other people on this court right now. We truly have a people's court. And the appellate work that we get to do in front of real people. And lawyers I speak to around the country, lawyers I talk with, are astounded that an ordinary lawyer like me has had the opportunity to go to the highest court in his land as many times as I have. And we are lucky. We are very lucky. And I feel very lucky and very surprised and very honored that this organization that I have been a member of for a long, long time, for 31 years I think, has chosen me for this award because